The year is 2026. Imagine waking up one morning. The sky just as you remember it, the sun rising over the familiar skyline of your city. But something is different. Something is wrong. Hanging in the air, silent and immense, is a structure that defies all logic. A monolith of impossible scale, black as the void between stars, casting a shadow that feels older than time itself. And it's not just over your city. It's over London, Tokyo, New York, Cairo. Every major metropolis on Earth now has a silent, colossal visitor. Panic, of course, is the world's first language. Stock markets crash, governments scramble for answers, and religious leaders either claim it's the end of days or the second coming. For 3 days, the world holds its breath, staring at the silent giants in the sky. And then, on the 4th day, they speak. Not with a voice, but with a message projected into the mind of every human on the planet. The voice, calm and ancient, introduces itself as the envoy. They tell us they have watched our species for millennia, seen our potential and our pitfalls, our capacity for incredible love and devastating hatred. And now they say they are here to intervene. They announce something called the 1% Initiative. They will select and take 1% of the human population, roughly 80 million people, and depart with them, leaving Earth forever. The message ends as abruptly as it began, leaving behind a planet reeling with a single burning question. How do you get chosen? The envoy offered no criteria, no application process, no lottery, just the promise of departure. And in that vacuum of information, humanity's imagination ran wild. Be chosen must mean salvation. A ticket to a utopia, a higher plane of existence, a new world free from the problems of the old one. Leaving meant being left behind, condemned to a dying planet. The global chaos that followed was unlike anything in history. It was a quiet, insidious breakdown of society. Suddenly, your neighbor wasn't just your neighbor. They were your competition. The 1% Initiative became the ultimate status symbol, the ultimate prize. The rich and powerful believed their wealth could buy them a spot. They funneled billions into front organizations, claiming to have a direct line to the envoy, building lavish shelters they advertised as selection centers. Scientists and engineers worked feverishly, trying to prove their intellectual worth. They published groundbreaking papers overnight, announced revolutionary technologies, all in a desperate bid to be noticed. Artists created masterpieces dedicated to the silent visitors, hoping their creativity would be their ticket. Everyone was performing, putting on a show for an audience they couldn't see, for judges they didn't know. But the competition quickly turned dark. Friendships fractured under the weight of suspicion. Families turned on each other. Who deserves it more? Became the unspoken question at every dinner table. People sold out their colleagues, betrayed their friends, and trampled over anyone who stood in their way. Acts of performative kindness became commonplace. People would volunteer at shelters with cameras rolling, donate to charities, and demand public recognition, all while secretly undermining their rivals. The world became a stage, and everyone was an actor vying for the lead role in The Great Escape. From my small apartment window, I, Elias Thorne, watched it all unfold. I wasn't a billionaire, a genius, or a celebrity. I was a librarian, a keeper of stories. I saw the ugliness, the desperation, the way people shed their humanity for a chance at a fantasy. I saw a man push an elderly woman to the ground to grab a flyer for a selection seminar. I saw a news anchor with tears in her eyes deliver a passionate speech about unity, only to be caught on a hot mic minutes later trying to sabotage her co-anchor's career. The world wasn't ending with a bang, but with a million tiny, selfish whispers. For an entire year, this frenzy continued. The monoliths remained silent, observing. The world tore itself apart from the inside out, all for a chance to be part of the 1%. Then, 1 year to the day since their arrival, the final message came. The selection is complete. Departure is imminent. A collective gasp echoed across the planet. People gathered in the streets, looking up at the monoliths, their hearts pounding with hope and fear. Who would it be? The tech moguls? The political leaders? The Nobel laureates? Everyone held their breath, waiting for the righteous and the powerful to be rewarded. And then it began. Soft golden beams of light descended from the monoliths. They didn't strike the palaces of presidents or the mansions of billionaires. They didn't touch the research labs or the television studios. The beams of light drifted down into quiet suburban homes, into crowded marketplaces, into humble villages. I saw a beam touch my neighbor, Mrs. Gable, retired schoolteacher, who spent her days tending to her small garden and reading stories to the neighborhood children, even as the world went mad. I saw it find a young paramedic who worked double shifts without complaint, holding the hands of the sick and the scared. It found a farmer in a remote field who had shared his meager harvest with a starving family. It found a street musician who kept playing his violin, his melodies a small pocket of peace in a world of noise. The chosen weren't the brilliant, the powerful, or the ruthless. They were the gentle, the kind, the compassionate, the ones who had been overlooked in the mad scramble. It's the ones who, in the face of a global contest for survival, had simply continued to be good. Millions of ordinary, decent people from every walk of life began to float upwards, encased in warm, golden light. They looked not triumphant, but peaceful, confused but calm. The elites, the schemers, the betrayers, they were all left standing on the ground, their mouths agape in disbelief and fury. All their money, their influence, their cunning, it meant nothing. They had been passed over. As the last of the chosen ascended into the silent ships, a final global thought emanated from the envoy. It was not a message of congratulations, but one of clarification. A chilling final revelation. "We did not offer you a paradise," the voice explained, its calm tone now feeling less like peace and more like judgment. "We did not come to reward your ambition. We are not taking the best of you. We are not even taking the most deserving. This was not an invitation. It was a rescue mission." A cold dread washed over the 99% left behind. "We have observed your species," the envoy continued. "We have seen your cycle of self-destruction, your talent for cruelty, your insatiable appetite for conflict. It is a sickness. And now you have been given a world to yourselves. You've fought and betrayed and clawed your way to the top, desperate to be chosen. Your wish has been granted. You've been chosen to remain." The finality of the message settled like a shroud. The envoy wasn't taking the best and brightest to a utopia. They were evacuating the non-combatants. They were removing the kind and the gentle from a world that was about to be consumed by the very people who had fought so hard to inherit it. They were saving the peaceful from the violent. And as the monoliths began to silently ascend, leaving us behind under a now empty sky, the truth dawned. This wasn't a rapture for the worthy. It was a quarantine. The gates of heaven hadn't opened. The doors of the asylum had just been locked from the inside. And we, the schemers, the ruthless, the ambitious survivors, were left behind to face the only thing we had left each other. Thanks for watching. If this story gave you something to think about, please consider liking the video and subscribing for more explorations into the what-ifs of our universe. Stay curious.